Today is the day we do the shirt. I know you can't see, but I have my laptop right in front of me so I'm staring at the website of one of these costume stores that I'm basing this pattern off of. So we're just making a shirt. I do have the measurements with me. Again, you'll need to take your own, so you'll need your bust, your waist, your torso, your shirt length, your back, sleeve length, bicep, and then also neck, because, well, you need it. It's got a collar that comes all the way up, so we need all that. So as I always say, if you've been watching the way that I do these patterns, unfortunately this paper that I have, I'm kind of just using scraps. This gift wrapping paper did not have a grid. You know how I feel about these gridded gift wrapping papers. They're a gift from God, so, but at least I have it on my grid paper here, my grid mat. So let's go ahead and when we start with this, I always start with a capital T. Capital T starts with your back, which is like your, your shoulder to shoulder measurement basically, and your torso. And as always, I always find the midpoint of my back. So when I come down with my torso line, everything is in the middle and everything so far is even. So her back is 16.5, which makes the halfway point of that 16.5, 8 1/4. Forgot what I was doing for a second. Excuse me, that happens. So 16.5 is right here. Now the torso is 17. So here's where that capital T is coming in, and I'm using my mat as a guide to stay straight. Just kind of angle that. 17. And like I said, I do need to add an extension of paper at the bottom. It's not long enough. But let's take care of this first, and then right now, when we get more towards the hem of it, you'll see that I've added on extra paper for the total length. So now I have a capital T, I have my back, I have my torso. Again, the torso is the distance from like the top of your shoulder to where your waist lies on your body. Everybody is different. For women, I will say if you're measuring from the top of your shoulders down to where your waist ends, please go over your bust. Don't go between your boobs on the side. Go right over your boobs. Please. Let's do the armholes here. So this is where, I'm self-taught. This is how I do it. Normally people's armholes are around 20 inches. So I'm going to go down. So like you can't go down 20 inches. You have to cut this number in half. So you don't want to go down 10 inches because nobody's armhole is that big. The rest of the 10 inches comes out in the curve where your bust is going to be. And of course, if you're a woman, more than likely, definitely, you're going to have a dart in this area. But I'll worry about the dart when I have the fitting with her. So I'm going to come down 7. I'm going to come down 7. And we need to add 3 more inches to make 10. So you're going to see this weird thing. I'm going to go to the side. Okay, so what is that? Basically, I need to curve it out, and then we're going to just keep double checking. If you have one of those curved rulers or you have one of these, we're going to make the curve, and we're going to just keep double checking that we're getting the number that we want. So before I use this, usually I like to use the marker that's like the cut line. Like I know for sure that this line is not messed up. So I'm going to use my pen because it might not here's my first line here. I'm going to double check. See, am I at 10? I haven't added seam allowance yet, so all this will also get a little bit bigger once we have the thing ready. No, okay. No problem. I'm at 8 inches. I need 2 more. So I elongated the line. Let me check it. 8. This move, hold on. Gotta kind of double check, especially when using this tape, because it'll bend and move and kind of throw off your measurements. So just kind of triply check. All right, here I am. I was just off about ½ an inch. Okay. So let me mark that with the black marker so you can see what it will actually look like. This is a 10 for me. So I'm only gonna work on this side really. This will be cut to for the front, and then you can also kind of mirror what you did here, and you can use this side, this mirrored side, as the back piece. Only difference is the neck hole will be a little bit higher than what the front looks like. So I'll kind of show you that in a second. So I'm going to divide my neck by 4. So in this case, it's going to be 3.375. Where is 3.375? So, ooh, what is that in? See, I always hate doing that with, I'll probably have to do some additional cutting on my mannequin, but for the pattern, I mean, here's 3, it's not, it's in between. I'm gonna assume it's this line. Like, imperial system, why do we have this? Why are you doing this to me? And then of course this, if this is too small still, we can adjust it during the fitting, no problem. And then another thing that I like to do, because again, this is just how it usually seems for me, as default, what I'll do is at the beginning where the neck starts on the inside, I'm gonna just go up ½ an inch, and then I'm gonna take my ruler just so that it just take care of like the slight slope of the shoulders. Everyone's different, but I always find this is just a nice default for me. It works many times. Of course, some people have very straight shoulders, some slope even way more than that, but hers didn't seem that way. So this is just me kind of eyeballing it because I've already seen the person that we're doing this for. We'll use this side for the front, and then we'll mirror it, and we can just kind of double this part for the back. Because remember, the back's gonna have a higher neckline. So what I'm gonna do now, before I add my extension, hold on, oops, before I do that, let me also just make the line for the torso. Remember we ended this right here for the torso? I'm going to just do, I'm not gonna go all the way across, but this should be where your waist lies as you wear this. But again, I still have to add the extension because this is too short. Hers is long, her body is longer than this. After you draw out your line for your torso, you already have your middle part, right? Let's look at the waist. Her waist is 31. So if I divide 31 by 4 is 7.75. So thank you for my midline. I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna go to 7.75, which is about right there. I'm gonna go to this broken line and this broken line, and I'm just going to join them. Okay, but you're like, Sarah, this shirt is not fitted. What on earth are you doing? That's fine. Again, I do things sometimes and then I'll go back and undo them, because for me, I just need to see where I need to come out more or go with, like, it's just, these are guidelines for me, right? So if this was a fitted top, I would that would be fine, and then I would take care of darts. But since this is more just like a loose t-shirt, I know where I need to come out. So this is where her bust is. So after we draw out our torso line, in fact, let me go further across. Let me just make this all the way. I had to correct myself right now because I joined the lines like if this is a fitted shirt, but it's not. So I'm just gonna come in just a little bit, but still wide enough that this is just like a loose fit t-shirt. So this guideline that I made here does kind of help me. So I'm not gonna do a complete right angle right here, or not the right angle, but like almost like a right angle. I'm just gonna slightly come in. So from where my midpoint is, I think this is okay. So let me see how far out I came from my midpoint line. So I came out from the midpoint line to the outer side 11 inches. So from this new broken dotted line, I'm gonna join the armhole over here to this line. So from the torso line, I just drew a line out. And I'm trying to, the shirt is long, remember? So it kind of cuts her right where her hips begin. So her bust and hip are only off about 1 inch. So I don't want to have it completely like just a straight line down for the shirt. I do want to have the littlest bit of just tapering in. So I'm trying to get this angle right. So I don't know if you can see that last line over there. Let me make sure you can see my camera. So see, this would be the fitted, if it was fitted. I had done this line over here, but I felt that it was still a little bit too tapered in, so I just came out a little bit more. And I think that's good. I think I'm gonna leave it at that cut line. So let me kind of just show you where from the midpoint I ended on that last line. I'm right at, like right before the 12-inch mark. So I think that'll be fine. Let me just fold this. You're gonna have this wonderful little line that I drew just to help me fold when I'm trying to do this. Awesome. So now I'm gonna cut this. Okay, on the line that I'm supposed to. And then of course when I put this on the fabric, I am gonna add in a seam allowance. Go across. See how I'm not cutting it? Because I need to have a higher neckline for the back part. So I have this line here, so I'm gonna cut it right down the middle. And then of course I have the zipper in the middle, so that will take care of the seam allowance. So I'll be adding a seam allowance of 1/2 inch on this side once I place it on the fabric. And I still need to add my extension for the length of the shirt, which you'll see in a little bit. I'm not gonna worry about that. Okay, so that's the front. Now this will be the front neckline. Now remember, the back is higher. So I'm going to put this back on here. How much am I off? Okay, so I need to add just a little bit. I'll be right back. Let me just add. So now I fixed the part where the paper was a little bit smaller, but they are the exact same size now. So I gotta work on this side. Let me just kind of mirror the front, lay it on top of that. So now I know where I need to have the neck hole just a little bit higher. So not too much. Here I went up from the original on this polka dotted paper. Remember, that's the front. So I went up 1 inch basically. So this one will be a little bit different. We're not gonna cut 2, since this is the back there's no break over here because we're gonna iron on, not iron on, well maybe in your case iron on, but I'm gonna sew the patch for his clan or whatever. So this is going to be the back, cut, one on, fold. And remember, if you come across a pattern that doesn't really say that, the symbol for that is cut on the fold. So I measured out like a rectangle basically, because this collar is kind of boxy looking. So I didn't add a curve in it because I'm afraid that it might, like, I just want this standing straight up, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go with this shape. It might change later. I'm estimating probably not. But anyways, I double checked the measurements since I moved up the height of one of the, the neck hole on the back side of the pattern. I moved that up an inch. I measured all around. So it came out to about 16.5. So I measured out lengthwise 16.5 on my gridded paper, and I made it 5 inches wide. So let's get started on the sleeve. You know how I like my midpoint, so I'm just gonna line up the edge of the paper on the grid. Let me see, how wide is this? 14 inches. So I'm just gonna make my line here. Why does that not look like 14 inches? Because I did it on the 8 line. Oh my gosh. There it is. Just make my line all the way down. You know how I do. Put this back. Okay, so in this case, 2 things we're gonna start up with. We're gonna start with the hump of the sleeve, which is like the shoulder part. We know that our armhole is 20 inches and we have a bicep of 11. Length will come last after we figure this part out. So I'm gonna just do this on the 5.5. Let me go down. So basically, as we shape the hump, I'm trying to get it to equal 20. We're at 11. Let me see what I can do here. Might have to go a little bit wider, although that's gonna throw off the measurements. Let me see. Here I am at 5. You know what? Let me move down because I can already tell I'm gonna be making all kinds of nutty lines. And if you're like, Sarah, what are you doing? Just roll with me for a second here, okay? Let me put it back on this. Let's start here. Again, I'm just trying to shape. I'm just shaping stuff. I have an end point here and an end point here. See, everything I do kind of always starts out like as a T. You know, you got the capital T. So I'm trying to curve this so it looks like a sleeve. Now I'm taking this, I'm gonna go, let me just double check. Am I at 20 yet? Am I near 20? Am I over 20? What's the deal? Nope, I'm at 15. Let me come out just a little bit, 15. Come on, by an inch. So now I've increased this armhole bicep area on the horizontal line to 13. Now I'm gonna try and blend this with the new end line. Now, if you don't want to do this, maybe you have a pattern that has a sleeve. That'll work. That fits you. You know it's good. And you can do that. I just always find I might as well just do it on paper. You know, just, you're doing the whole pattern, have everything make sense anyways. So now I'm at 17. Let's go up. I'm going up 1 full inch on the... You just measure this new hump. This is what I do. I just keep retracting it until it equals the number that I want. 14, 16, 18 and a half. Well, let's bring this out a little more. right, so I'm at pretty much 20. I'll add a little extra when I do the pattern. Again, I'm having issues running out of paper here. This is the worst channel ever. Jeez. Okay, so now that I have my 2 end points on the side, let's start from the way top of the hump. And this sleeve's only 8 inches. So I'm gonna do a little line here. Let me line it up somewhat. So where's my line here? 6. I'm sorry, I said 6 because my ruler's lined up with the 6 line on the grid. It doesn't mean anything other than I was just trying to get it lined up and perfectly straight. So I'm gonna go all the way. So that's gonna be the short sleeve, okay? That's gonna be the short sleeve, and we're going to cut 2.
I said I text my boyfriend, then I cannot sleep in school. Has called me out at home in 30 minutes. I also text message again, which was my office, but I had just closed. Hot, open. I pretty much had a heart attack. I was frozen, sitting on the floor.
As you can see here, and the same thing with my neck, it hit me kind of high in the neck. So we do need to go ahead and just smooth this down just a little bit. You can do this on yourself. I'm doing this on the mannequin, but this is totally doable like on your own wearing it. And of course, chalk is just so easy. So I need to bring this down a little bit. And maybe I'll just kind of shave this just a tad bit to smooth it out with the rest of this. So I had the fitting with my client. So here are some of the changes that I need to do before I proceed. So when she tried it on, it was a little longer over the shoulder area. I don't know if you can see where I marked it with the chalk, but it was like 1/2 inch over her shoulder. So I'm going to correct that right now, as well as when she tried it on, as I had thought, you know, she was definitely going to need a dart, which she did. So I already kind of, on my notes, I put that the dart is 5 inches down from the top of the shoulder, 6 inches long, angled towards the nipple area. So that way I can have that the exact same way here on the other side. So I'm gonna, before I put the sleeves on the shirt, I'm going to hem them real quick, turn them up. So I just went around with my serger, because I'm like, it's good. I'm just doing it kind of like an easier way on me. A lot of the machines, you can also take out a section here so you can do sleeve work. So you can insert things in here. So I'm just going to follow the thickness and maybe just leave just the smallest amount of gray on this side. So you can see just a little bit of gray, not too much, but pretty much just fold it once. And then I'm going to top stitch it with a big stitch in a matching gray color. So what I did now is I pressed it from the outside so it's flat. And then, as you can see, hold on, let me put this. I folded it down maybe like 1/4 inch. And I'm going to have the allowance that's on the shirt, I'm going to push it upwards. And then I'm going to fold this down and I'm going to tack it down. And then sew it down. You could also do it by hand so you don't see the stitching on the other side. But I'm going to go ahead and do visible stitching on the other side. I think that'll be cool for this outfit. And then once all this is sewed down, I'm going to go back with my serger and I'm going to just level everything. So it's going to chop this extra part off, but I just had it a little bit longer so you could see. So I'm going to just serge it and have it blend back with the whole shirt. And then next, after we do that, then I'm going to put in the zipper, which I'll show you how to do. So I sewed the neckline down. I have to finish pressing it because there's still some wrinkles. But I sewed it down. And I also serged the edges. See how I blended it back? Because in this costume, if you notice, the zipper goes all the way up through the collar. So now what I'm gonna do is turn it inside out, and I'm gonna meet everything right side together. So this inside here is the right side of the fabric, like where you see it when you wear it. And all I'm gonna do, because this is how I'm gonna insert the zipper, I'm going to line everything up, and then I'm gonna stitch it down 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to press it open, and then I'm going to lay down my zipper for insertion. All right, so I laid down the zipper. Let me see if you can see. I pressed it open like I said I would. I pressed open the seam, and I laid the track down right on the center of the seam, and then I pinned it down. Now I'm going to switch my foot to the zipper foot, and I'm going to sew, and then I'm going to sew on each side. I'm going to do one side all the way down, and then one side all the way down, because zippers also have a tendency to kind of like move, and you'll get to the end and like one end will be higher or lower than the other, so you do kind of have to watch that extra pin if you have to, so that way there's no moving.
The moon is the only one. The original one. Maybe the moon's not binary. Yeah, so the moon ends up protecting us from a lot of people. On Mars, where something it's like a lightning bolt fell. We don't talk about it. Cancelled.
So I am at the top. I already did it here. Let me show you what I did here. So as you can see, I stopped sewing about right here. So up here, where it's like this, I'm going to fold this and tuck it like that. And then I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to sew it and back stitch it right there.
It's like Vesuvius. Maybe it's actually like Jew and eruption. If that goes, well, we've literally got nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do to stop this volcano from erupting. And if it does, it will pretty much kill like half the fucking world. The cloud of like smoke in the sky will block out the sun.
One human, just like now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Way too long, and I look like a nice gem towards the end of it. And since we're trying to make a joke out of So going on back to like sort of the main topic we talk about, what is
destructive? Testosterone was a poison in my body that has affected certain parts to make me debilitated in my mental state.
Yeah.
So they bring me great unhappiness with the image that I have. And it's when I look out of my eyes into the world and not in the mirror, I have things in certain places that aren't in those places when I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that is a weird way of me being able to explain dysphoria. So dysphoria, in like a really, really, really easy to understand way, is kind of like you're playing a video game and you can hear enemy music all the time, just softly.